Okay, so in today's video we're going to talk about appreciation and its connection to happiness. Now personally, I think of all the things I've learned about how to be happier, how to feel happier, I think learning to appreciate what's around me and what I have is probably one of the most significant things. So generally people talk about appreciation in terms of gratitude actually, so that's the term that's far more commonly used, as I'm sure you know. So whether that's Buddhists or whether it's positive psychologists, the language around appreciation and being thankful for what we see around us is usually in those terms of gratitude. So I'll use that term as well. So I guess just there are three kind of key things I'd like to say about appreciation and gratitude and how that can help you turn up your happiness. The first is that we just know now through research and through experience that if we can tune in more to what is right in our lives and focus less on what is not so right in our lives, then of course we will feel happier. You know, it kind of follows. So I think what a lot of us maybe have learned to do through different experience is notice the negatives, or notice the risks, or notice the difficult things and focus on those. In fact, some of us are actually employed to sort of use those skills. So really for me, gratitude and feeling appreciative is almost about training that ability back in that you see more often in children and dogs, to be honest. You know, just that ability to be excited, to be thankful just for sort of being here in the first place, really. You know, when you say to a dog you're about to go for a walk, I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of excitement, isn't it? And if that's not gratitude, I don't know what it is. So really, as an adult, this is about saying we have so much to be thankful for, all of us, however trying our present circumstances might be. So a daily habit of being thankful for what we have, what we see around us, whether it's today's a beautiful sunny day, for example. However, if it was raining, with an approach of gratitude, we could be as thankful, really. We could be thankful that the flowers and the plants are being watered. We could be thankful that if we've got to get a boring job done, we find it easier to stay at home on a rainy day than we do on a sunny day. You know, we can always kind of reframe a situation to feel more gratitude. So just in, you know, everyday situations, we can learn to appreciate what we otherwise take for granted. Okay? The second thing I want to say about gratitude and appreciation is that it can be a relatively easy habit to get into, to start to notice what we're thankful for. And also verbalising that's important, I think. You know, that freedom and the ability and confidence to actually show our appreciation is incredibly powerful as well. But I guess the challenge for most of us is that when things are difficult, when things are bleak, when things are darker for us, how do we maintain that focus on gratitude when we actually feel miserable, down, lonely, sad, frustrated, angry? You know, in situations in our lives that are really challenging, what we can also learn to do is really see the lessons we learn from previous situations like that. You know, that sometimes the only thing we can be grateful for is that even though things are going really wrong around us and maybe we feel bleak, we can still maybe just be grateful that we're pretty sure we'll get through it, that we're old enough and experienced enough to know that we get through things, that it might not be pretty, that it might not be easy, but actually we're stronger than we thought we were. And it's only through having difficult experiences that we learn that, really, that we test it. So for me, gratitude is about saying, what a beautiful sunny day, look at that gorgeous flower, look at my amazing friends, how fortunate I am to have a job that I love. But it's also about when we feel bleak, being able to see that alongside the bleakness, there is good stuff still. There are things happening that are there to support us. That might be our own mind and how we're able to see things, and it might be people around us that show us huge kindness in those situations, actually, that we can be really thankful for. So that's kind of what I'd call gratitude in the darkness, as opposed to when things are all cool. The third thing I want to mention is pay it forward. Now that's the same kind of thing, really, as random acts of kindness. Both are terms I'm sure you've heard many times. The reason I wanted to talk about this under the kind of heading of appreciation and gratitude is that there is a real power in, I think, and a real beauty in giving other people the opportunity to be grateful and to appreciate things. So really this is about sharing your knowledge of how lovely it feels to be grateful with other people that might not have as many opportunities as you to be thankful, or it's just about delighting people really, and surprising people with kindness. So for any of you that don't know about Pay It Forward, the principle, I think the most important principle of it really is that it gets away from the sense of reciprocity. That in other words, my kindness to someone, I'm not doing it because I want kindness shown back to me by them. I'm not doing it because it's part of a friendship or a long relationship of some sort. I'm doing it just because they're a person and I'm a person. And if they then pay it forward, so if I do something for them and then instead of returning the favour, they might do something similar for someone else, you know, and it's about spreading kindness and awareness really that we might all look a bit different, but we're all in this together, and the more kindness we can show, I think the happier we will all be. So, in fact, there's a guy called Martin Seligman who's kind of invented positive psychology really, and he did some research some years ago now that showed that whilst of course when we go and do something we enjoy, we tend to feel happier. I went to a comedy gig last night, it was great, I laughed a lot, it was really good fun, it was great. But in all honesty, I can't say I woke up this morning feeling happier because of it, but I enjoyed it at the time. What Martin Seligman's research has shown is exactly that really, that we have momentary and fleeting happiness, which is great, and we should, you know, aim to have that in our lives. But if we want something more sustained, if we want to feel happy for weeks after, or months after, or in some cases I think years after in his study, our happiness is increased by actually doing something good for someone else. So by spreading the joy, our happiness stays longer with us. So it's worth knowing. There are 3 actions I'd like you to take today, having seen this, because I think we need to start behaving differently if we want to start feeling different, and I'd like you to experiment with a few things. So I've written them here. So put this one here first. So look for the lessons in a difficult experience. So I think that people that are very sort of gratitude experts, as it were, very evolved people, are probably very able during difficult times to see what is also good. I think for a lot of us it's more realistic initially to look back on a difficult experience. So what I'd ask you to do today is revisit something that isn't horribly painful to revisit, but that was a difficult time for you, and just consider with what you know now, what you've learnt, the things that have happened since. Look for the lessons in that experience. What are you grateful for in that experience? So maybe not the experience itself, but what are you grateful for knowing and seeing and experiencing now as a result of that experience? Okay. Another thing I'd love you to do, because it's just really good fun, is wherever you are, just take a few moments now, you know, at the end of the video, to just think of 10 things that you're grateful for. So they can be really small things. They can be, you know, I had an online food delivery thing yesterday, so I've got a fridge full of beautiful fresh food this morning. And I know that loads of people don't have either fresh food, a fridge to put it in, the money to buy it, and certainly don't have a delivery service. You know, so whilst that's a very everyday thing, if I stop and think about it, I'm incredibly grateful to have that. I really appreciate that's there in my life. It makes things easier, it's lovely, and I'm lucky. So it can be small things, you know, it can be small things. The third thing I'd love you to have a go at is Pay It Forward. So I'm trying to think of some examples. So something like the suspended coffee scheme you might have heard about. So that's a relatively new phenomenon in the UK at the moment. And the idea is that if I go into a coffee shop, I can pay for my own coffee and then put some money behind the counter for someone else to have coffee that can't afford it themselves. And a person comes in, knows that that scheme operates in that coffee shop, and asks if any money is there so that they can have a coffee they don't need to pay for. So that's beautiful, isn't it? Because I don't know them, they don't know me, but I've done something lovely, so I feel good, and they experience kindness from a stranger, and that has got to make you feel happier, hasn't it? It's got to make you believe that you're in a better world than maybe you thought you were in when you woke up that morning. So that's one example. My dad used to have an allotment, and he used to grow far more potatoes than he needed, and I can remember him leaving bags on my neighbour's steps, and I was only about 20 at the time. I remember kind of finding that a little bit creepy, and I feel bad now, but I remember saying, oh, that's a bit weird, you know, getting home from work or school and finding a random bag of potatoes. But actually, now I'm older and I understand the world a bit better, and I probably understand my dad a bit better. I just think that's a really kind, lovely thing to do. So it's those sorts of things, you know, just find an opportunity to do something kind for someone else with no expectation in return, and see how you get on. Enjoy your day.